The US presidential debate between Donald Trump and Kamala Harris is over, and everyone is asking, who won? Well, the answer to that depends on who you speak to. Democrats are saying Kamala Harris wiped the floor with Trump, and Republicans are saying Trump still managed to win despite having the biased ABC moderators against him. Sky News All Stars Rita Panahi, Murray and Joe Hilderbrand take a look at the fallout of the debate. The US presidential debate between Donald Trump and Kamala Harris has been shrouded in controversy. From lies to biased moderators to annoying tactics employed by both leaders, the debate produced more negativity than knockout moments, says Sky News All-Star Greg Sheridan.
Well, great to be with you. Look, I thought it was a pretty low-quality functional draw. I think both candidates were successful in communicating to their base. So if you care about illegal immigration, inflation and the Biden record, you're going to vote for Trump. If you care about abortion, protecting the Affordable Health Care Act and think Trump is just an odious person, you're going to vote for Harris. I don't think either of them was particularly good at appealing to independent voters. I may be the only commentator in the world who had this opinion, but I actually thought Trump slightly outpointed Harris on the debate. But, I'm very used to Trump's weirdness, but Harris also told lots and lots of lies. So I think it's probably a draw. I doubt it'll move many votes, really.
Sky News All-Star Annalise Nielsen agrees, saying the debate didn't move the dial for Kamala Harris, but did give her enough ammunition to keep going for the next 2 months.
We were at a very Democrat-heavy event, and so for those voters, they were excited to see Kamala's performance. But I don't think it's necessarily moved the dial. What it's done is given her enough ammunition to fight the next 2 months. And it's not a gift to say that. This is a very unprecedented election. The fact she just took over the ticket. But there were a lot of issues with how the debate was run. And I think that's another thing that we need to take into consideration with this.
But Donald Trump disagrees, telling Fox News that he won the debate while slamming the ABC for the biased moderators.
I won the debate according to C-SPAN by a lot. According to every single, I think we had 14 polls that we sent to you. Everyone had me winning. We had a terrible network. I think they were terrible. They should be embarrassed. I mean, they kept correcting me, and what I said was largely right, or I hope it was right.
Sky News All-Star Douglas Murray agrees with Trump, slamming Kamala Harris's strange debating tactic.
Well, I mean, she's got several problems on her hands, hasn't she? Because on the one hand, she's got to make sure that she says absolutely nothing. And she's quite good at that, it has to be said. But she has to say absolutely nothing because we know that many of the policies that she would bring in, as Bernie Sanders admitted this week, would be pretty radical and would put off the public. At the same time, there might still be some journalists in America and elsewhere who will notice that she has to say something. I suspect that what she's going to do, and what her advisors will have told her to do, is to try to trap Trump. And they will do that by getting her to do something like the shtick she did in the last debate when she was running for Veep against Donald Trump and Mike Pence. And you remember she kept saying to Mike Pence, "I'm speaking." Excuse me, but I'm speaking. And it was a very clear attempt to sort of say, I'm a woman, I'm also a woman of color, and therefore, if you in any way not just interrupt me, but counter me, you're kind of countering a woman of color. And, steady on there. Don't you realize you're not allowed to do that? I don't think she'll use that technique, but I bet they've come up with a new one that's equally irritating and equally designed to effectively trap her opponent.
Sky News All-Star Amy Horowitz agreed, saying Kamala Harris failed to deliver the knockout blow she required to resuscitate her polling after the sugar high wore off.
Yeah, I think that if I had a scorecard, I would say she had a slight edge overall on this, but it was pretty close. The problem is that she needed a knockout blow because we're trending, the polls are trending against her now that the sugar high of her replacing Biden is over and after the DNC. And she did not score that knockout punch. Look, if you look at the New York Times poll that came out, this is very, very bad news for her campaign. It has her up 1 among likely voters, 2 among all voters. And as we all know, polls seem to sample Trump voters. But if you look at the crosstabs, they're even worse for her. This is an election of change. A majority of people want change. And actually, a clear majority view Trump as the agent of change more than Kamala Harris. And when they talked to the voters and said, hey, who do you think will do better on the particular issue that you care about the most, without exemplifying or specifying a particular issue? Again, Trump wins a clear majority over Kamala Harris. And he's up 16% on her on the economy, which is the #1 issue across voters. So she really needed a knockout blow. She didn't get it.
And Sky News host Rita Panahi doubled down, saying the VP entered word salad territory during the debate.
How Donald Trump started. He was land, he owned buildings.
I think she's run out of her prepared lines. We're about to go into word salad territory.
He refused to rent property to black families.
Oh, it shouldn't be rent. Oh, Jesus.
Who took out a full-page ad.
But not everyone agrees. Sky News All-Star Joe Hilderbrand said the debate hurt Trump.
Joe, does this change anything, or it's just...
I don't know how much it will change, but I think certainly it hurts Trump and does not help him. How much it hurts him or not, the NFL, Timmy G, big shout out to Timmy G, one of my best mates and a Labor strategist who is very, very smart and understands normal people much better than a lot of other political strategists do, said, look, the NFL season's going to start next week and everyone will have forgotten about politics at that point, and then they'll go back to thinking about it just before the election or when they go to vote. But I think Trump had Kamala Harris on the ropes for the first half hour, and then he basically threw that all away by, again, being roped into a rabbit hole that he didn't need to go down, and after that he lost his momentum. Before this, Trump's poll numbers were gaining, the margin was narrowing. The New York Times Siena poll actually had Trump marginally ahead in the national polls, although tiny bit behind in, say, Pennsylvania and the key swing states. So again, he was actually on track to come back, and that's with him not a particularly great performance over the last couple of weeks, but with Kamala's buzz, her halo wearing off after the convention. And again, the more you see of Kamala, the more people don't seem to like what they're seeing. There was pressure on her for this debate. Everyone was saying she would struggle in a unscripted, free-for-all environment, that Donald Trump would get the better of her. That was what he looked like he was about to do for the first half hour, but then he flubbed it.
And Sky News All-Star Andrew Bolt had to admit that Trump did struggle in the debate.
Now, Donald Trump hoped to destroy Kamala Harris in their one and probably only debate before America's presidential election. But the former president struggled earlier today against a well-rehearsed Harris and 2 very hostile debate hosts.